guys, welcome back to Swaggy Science Students. This is chapter 2 on ecology. The first thing we're going to talk about is ecology. What is ecology? Ecology is an organism's relationship and their interaction with the environment. So, ecologists observe, experiment, and model it using a variety of tools and methods. So they find out populations and all of that. So where do these animals live? In the biosphere. And they're also in the biosphere, they're biotic factors. And biotic factors are the living factors in an organism's environment. So it's like plants, which help the animals live because they eat the plants and the microorganisms and the bacteria after the animal dies. They feast on them and voila.
Voila.
Abiotic factors.
Abiotic factors are what we're going to discuss next. So abiotic factors are non-living factors of an organism's environment. So that would be like the
Water,
ground, the rocks, the water, the mountains,
sunlight.
temperature, sunlight, precipitation that falls, right? Snow, etc. Which, yeah, that's what that is. And then we have levels of organization is the next step. So that's from the lowest level of organization to the highest level of organization, I'm going to explain. So an organism is an individual living thing. So an organism is one thing, like say a mongoose. That's one organism. A plant, so an oak tree, that's one organism. A population is a group of organisms of the same species. So a flock of mongoose or a grove of oak trees. Then a biological community would be a group of interacting populations. So maybe if you were to have elk in oak trees and wolves or coyotes and deer or something, they all act together because the wolves have to eat the deer or the elk.
Or the mongoose.
The mongoose probably wouldn't live where those live. But if a mongoose was in there, they gotta eat too. So y'all gotta eat, and the moose or the elk and the deer, they gotta eat stuff too. So they all interact together, and they all are gonna move together, if you understand what I'm saying. And then you have an ecosystem, which is a biological community plus abiotic factors. So obviously that would be a normal thing. You're not ever gonna have just a biological community where you have just animals and plants living together with no environment or anything interacting on them whatsoever. An ecosystem is what you would have because you are going to have your snow, your rain, you're going to have cold temperatures, hot days, you could have big storms, things like that are going to affect the population, they're going to affect the environment. A biome is a group of ecosystems. So if you have this little region here in Manorville, Minnesota, where there's deer and coyotes in this little field, okay, in this little grove of trees, a biome would be like, say, the whole area of maybe southeastern, the driftwood region, as they would say. And then the biosphere is the layer of earth that supports life, which is what we live on.
Next, we're going to be talking about ecosystem interactions. So, first, the vocab word is habitat. A habitat is where an organism lives. So, organisms find most of its resources for survival in this habitat.
Like they find the water, they find the food source, all that good stuff.
A niche is an organism's role in an ecosystem, how it finds food, shelter, space, and mates. So everything in an ecosystem comes together and they basically all live off each other.
So in a niche, it's basically what they contribute.
Niche.
Actually, it's a niche, but good try.
Well, shingle be dingles.
You said it wrong.
Should we keep that in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I think it's niche.
the number one thing in an ecosystem is competition. So more than one organism using a resource at the same time, they're gonna have to compete for that. So it's like survival of the fittest. Whoever is stronger will get that same resource. So competition can occur between the same species or two different species.
Okay, now we'll be talking about predation. So predation is one organism's consuming another for food. So this would be like a big wolf consuming a mongoose and stuff like that, Mitch buddy.
Eat mongooses.
Mitch,
It
buddy.
doesn't happen.
Okay, and then mutualism. Mutualism is organisms benefit in a relationship. Like both of them. So let's take for example a clownfish and sea anemone. The sea anemone doesn't like hurt the clownfish, and it gives the clownfish a place to live. And the clownfish like eats and like protects, you know. And then in a commensalism, one organism benefits and the other is neither help nor harm. So that's like, let's say I got bit by a mosquito. The mosquito gets what he wants, but it really doesn't affect me other than the mosquito bite. And then parasitium, or parasites, whatever. One organism benefits at the expense of another. So let's say,
That'd be more of
like a parasite in my body. Let's say a tapeworm.
Like a tick.
A tapeworm. It like gets all my food that I'm eating. It takes away all my nutrients. It's at my expense because I'm gonna die. And
unless you
they're-
don't go to the
yeah.
doctor.
So, talking about chapter 4, which is about population. So, population dynamics. So, there's density. And population density is the number of organisms per unit area.
Take more and then talk.
Yeah.
So population.
So,
Dispersion.
dispersion is the pattern of spacing population in an area. So, there's 3 types. There's uniform, there's clumped, and there's random. So now we'll be talking about distribution. This is exactly where the organisms live within the ecosystem. So it's where they eat, it's where they sleep, it's where they watch
Talk.
television. And there are abiotic and biotic factors which limit distribution of population. So abiotic factors are like the soil,
The
water temperature. Then biotic is like bears and grizzly bears and mountain
People.
lions and people.
The temperature outside too.
Yeah.
So now we get into population limiting factors. So limiting factors limit the numbers in the population. These would be like food. You can only have so much food is going to support so many animals. Space, a limited amount of space, of course, limited amount of animals. Same with shelter and mates.
So there are types. Vocab word. Density.
Of limiting factors.
Types of limiting factors. Density independent factors means it does not depend on a number of members in a population. So that's like mostly abiotic factors. Density dependent factors means it does depend on number of members in a population, which is mostly biotic factors. Now rates of population. Population growth rate is how fast a population grows. So, like births or like deaths. It's
So,
just,
like in the Black Death, the population, or Black Plague, the population growth rate was going down because there were so many deaths. Nowadays, compared to like 1862, there's a lot more people, so
a
it's
lot
going
more
up.
babies.
So growth rate, some other factors would be immigration, and that's when individuals move into the population. So organisms moving into the population, or new births also count, I guess. Emigration with an E and one M, 7 I and 2 M's. That's when individuals move out of the population.
That's like, let's say a bear got a job in New York City and he had to leave Cozy Casson, Mentorville, Minnesota. He's going into a new area, but he's leaving ours.
Yeah, he's emigrating and immigrating into New York City. Exponential growth model, geometric growth, rapid growth, and J-curve growth.
Graph.
Graph.
That's like, so a J-curve graph is like, let's say the population of went up really fast, but it was steadily going up. So that's like starts here and then it goes up like this, like a J. Right. Carrying capacity is the max number of individuals that the environment can support. So here in cozy Casson Manorville, Minnesota, we are kind of a small town. We can't hold that many. So right now, our max capacity, let's say it can hold 10,000 people. That's how many it can hold. The Casson Manorville pool can only hold 575 people at a time. That's the max capacity.
So resources, they are abiotic and biotic factors, and they will limit carrying capacity, what Aaron just said. So reproductive patterns are when you live in an environment where abiotic and biotic factors fluctuate. So it's not a literal pattern, it just is different. And so these organisms make a lot of offspring in a short time and live short lifespans. K strategists means they live in a stable environment where factors or like resources are plentiful, and so these organisms make few offspring and raise them, and they live a long lifetime.
Like humans.
We're done. End it. Close it. Throw your bird.
No, we have one more. We have K strategists.
I just said that.
Take it back. Listen to the next one. So you shoot.